Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Saturday, November 2nd, 2013. Not on America's Talking anymore. That channel is off XM. I'm sorry. I apologize. Hey, but you got the podcast, right? And you might even like it better because we talk about toilets and stuff in between. This is episode... I warned you. This is episode 1027. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by iFixit. You can fix it, and iFixit makes it easy with their step-by-step repair guides, high-quality replacement parts, and all the tools you'll need. For $10 off your purchase of $50 or more, go to ifixit.com/twit and enter the offer code TechGuy at checkout. And by IT Pro TV. Are you looking to upgrade your IT skills or prepare for certification? IT Pro TV offers engaging, informative tutorials streamed to your Roku, your computer, or your mobile device, or all three. For 50% off the lifetime of your account, go to itpro.tv/techguy and enter the offer code TG50. And by Ring Central. I love my cloud-based phone system from Ring Central. Zero startup costs, and Ring Central is $20 per month per user. Try it now with a 30-day risk-free trial, and when you buy one desk phone, you'll get a second phone free, up to a total of 20 phones. Call 800-543-9980 or visit ringcentral.com and use the promo code TWiT. And by Gazelle. The fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used iPhone, iPad, or other Apple products are worth at gazelle.com. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about technology. This is what we do on this show. We answer your questions. We talk about trends, the news, the tech news, new products. Could be in computers, although that's increasingly less important, unless you do, as I do, define computers as anything with a microprocessor inside. And then, why, that's, pretty much everything in your world nowadays. We talk about the internet, and everything with a microprocessor tends to be internet connected nowadays. The cost of the chips, the cost of the Wi-Fi, chips have dropped so much that you can Wi-Fi enable almost anything. We also talk about home theater. In fact, Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guru, will join us at 1:30. Anything with a chip in it. Cars. I got the new iPad. I guess I shouldn't bury the lead, as they say in the newspaper business. This is the new iPad Air. Now, we're still waiting for the iPad Mini with Retina display, and they haven't even set a date for that, which means it's well delayed. So I thought, well, I wonder maybe if the new iPad is small enough, compact enough, light enough that it would be, almost a mini. Because I love the mini. The iPad Air, like it's a big brother, the original iPads, 9.7-inch screen. But they've reduced the frame around the screen, what we call the bezel, by such. It's funny. The screen is the same size, but the bezel is so much smaller that it really takes, more than half an inch off the width of the thing. Height is about the same, but it's much thinner. And the thing you might even notice before any of that is that it's much lighter. It's 0.4 pounds lighter. I don't know what that is. 5 ounces, 6 ounces lighter. And that makes a difference because the original iPad actually was kind of heavy. This one now feels normal. Don't mistake me. It doesn't feel light. It's not going to float out of your hands. But it is considerably lighter. Now here's an interesting thing, that because it's somewhat narrower, not a whole lot, but enough, I noticed this yesterday. I had it just since yesterday when it came out. I tend to want to hold it in portrait mode, like a Kindle, like you're reading, as opposed to of course you can do both. But it lends itself much better to holding upright than the previous iPad did. which is, I think, a good thing. It makes it nice for reading if you're reading a website. It's just kind of a more natural to look at the website in portrait mode than in landscape. You know what I mean when I use those terms. I guess if you thought about it, you could figure it out. Portrait is where it's tall. Landscape is on its side where it's wide. And the previous iPad really was, I think, more designed to use in landscape mode. But this one is very comfortable in portrait mode. In fact, so comfortable you can actually type, at least I can, holding it and typing with my thumbs in the upright mode, which is something I really couldn't do. Just that little difference makes it was uncomfortable to do with the old iPad, and the iPad Air, it's very comfortable, very natural. I found myself, without even thinking, holding it this way, holding it upright, and typing. Still too big. It's not going to replace. My hope was that it might be small and thin enough to replace the Mini in my love, because I really love the Mini. But you know what? The one thing that I really like with the Mini is I can hold it in one hand, and unless you're Shaquille O'Neal, you cannot hold the iPad Air. It's quite a stretch. I've heard people say you can hold it in one hand. They must be massively huge people. They must be bigger than normal, because you can. The Air you can easily, and it's kind of a natural way to use the Air. So, given the fact that Apple's new iPads are identical in processor speed, memory, everything, including the screen resolution, both the iPad Mini with Retina and the iPad Air, same everything. The only difference is that instead of a 9.7-inch screen, the Mini has a 7.9-inch screen, which means the dots are, smaller, they're tighter, but otherwise it's the same. Russell Coleman says, Leo's crazy. I can hold my third generation in one hand. He's doing it wrong. Russell, how big are you? I'm not a giant person. I'm 5'10", with, I think, a normally sized man hand. And I can't hold the 3 at all, not getting my fingers around. I consider holding it the ability to wrap your fingers around one side and the thumb around the other. Perhaps we should define our nomenclature. Maybe that would make a difference. Can't quite do it either with the Air. Almost. This comes as the previous Airs did in sizes ranging from 16 gigabytes to 128 gigabytes, which is nice. I don't know if I've started to buy smaller devices. Have you noticed this? I noticed it first with phones that I don't put as much stuff as I used to on my devices. It's mostly apps. And then, because you can stream everything. So music, you don't have to put music on there. I'll probably put some. Pictures, yeah, if you don't. This is where I think I notice the people around me, particularly the less sophisticated people around me, they don't ever take their pictures off their iPhone or their iPad. Lisa, my girlfriend, was just setting up her iPad Air. She had 1,500 pictures on her old one. That's like she never took them off, right? I'm more of the habit of cleaning them off. I don't to leave room. I like the iPad Air. If you are a fan of the bigger iPad, I think the Air is a good choice. The real problem Apple has is it's so much better that you're going to want to run out, even though you got a new iPad a year ago, you're going to want to run out and get a new iPad today. I don't think you need to. It's not that much difference. Noticeably faster. Apple claimed as much as twice as fast. Certainly in the benchmarks I've seen, it's at least 80% faster. And in graphics, this thing is probably the fastest tablet out there for graphics. So, but again, I didn't feel like the last iPad or even the iPad before it was too slow. Some people did. I think it's nice. I think it's beautiful. If you haven't bought an iPad yet, congratulations. If you have bought an iPad, the other thing you might want to consider is it's Lightning, of course. All of Apple's stuff now is going to have that new Lightning connector. No more 30-pin connectors. So your car and your docks and all the things that have 30 pins, they won't work. And it's a new shape, so none of your cases, none of your keyboards, none of the stuff that you have is going to work with it. I haven't tried this. It might actually. I have the Logitech ultra thin keyboard that you put on it. It actually sits in the dock. Well, no, it doesn't. In fact, did they take the magnets out? Huh, no, it doesn't. And of course, when you when you close it, it doesn't fit either. So, did they take the magnets out? It must still. Oh yeah, it still has magnets, but not the same place. So yeah, you need new cases. All new cases, all new keyboards. Yes, the companies are rushing to get those out. Yes, Apple has cases, of course. That's the most lucrative iPad market of all. Is $3 worth of plastic sold for $50. That's profit. So as with most of the reviewers, yes, it's nice. It's a much improved. I would say don't feel left out. As with the last generation, frankly, don't feel left out if you don't have the latest, greatest iPad. I know lots of people still using iPad 1s, 2s, 3s. Probably if you're on a first-generation iPad, it would be worth upgrading, for sure. For sure. It's much better screen, much faster. Apple's still selling the iPad 2 for schools and stuff. It's not even that cheap. So there you have it, my capsule review of the iPad Air. It's going to be my work iPad, I guess, but I still like the Mini. The problem is I think Apple's having a hard time making the iPad Mini. They haven't been able to get it out the door. They haven't even announced a ship date. They say sometime in November. I'm going to be watching very carefully so I can quickly order one, because I can promise you, if this is the one, if you want the Mini with Retina display, it's going to be very hard to get until next year. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. As we do every weekend, we are talking high tech. We'll talk about the new KitKat operating system. Just in time for Halloween, Google released Android 4.4. Some interesting changes there. And the new Nexus 5, which a lot of Android fans were waiting for. I don't know if the real world really cares, but we'll talk about that too. A lot of people are talking about, saying in the chat room, Leo, you missed the most important point, that this is a 64 gigabit chip, or 64-bit chip, no gigs involved, instead of the previous 32-bit chip. Yeah. TJO Code for Sale says 64-bit moves and processes data such as bitmaps for pixel data at twice the rate of 32-bit. Not really at twice the rate, and twice the size chunks. And much of the time, you don't really care about that. But I'm glad you're happy. My job is not to promulgate marketing hoo-ha, but in fact, to tell you the truth. This doesn't make any difference. But enjoy it. I'm glad you've got 64-bit. It's good. You know what? It's twice as good as 32 bits. Isn't that nice? It's twice as good. Heather Hammond, our phone ranger. I think I still owe you like an iPhone, don't I?
Yeah, and some ice cream, apparently.
Ice cream we've got in the freezer. Actually, if you look under the ice cream, you might find a big surprise.
A new iPhone?
No, more ice cream.
Oh.
Let us...
we crack ourselves up.
Oh, and by the way, Russell says, but Leo, the A7 has more registers. Whoa!
I don't even know what that means.
Well, it's like, I'll give you the, actually, you know what? There's a very apt analogy. When you go to Safeway, and it's a really crowded day, and they have 12 registers open, you can go through it faster. The problem is, most of the time, your iPad is like Safeway on a slow night. So 12 registers where there's 2 people in line doesn't make a difference, and that's really the truth. So again, these are specs that the Apple folks would love you to get all excited about. And even, it's funny, Samsung immediately said, well, yeah, because Android doesn't support 64-bit operations. We'll have 64-bit too soon. And don't fall for this. This is why Microsoft Word is such a pig, a bloated pig, because people say, but it's got more features. See, look at the checklist. I have a table here with all the word processors. In Word, the checklist is really long. And all they did was they added items so they could have more items in the checklist. Don't fall for that. Please, I beg you. I shouldn't say Safeway. That's a California grocery store. I should say Piggly Wiggly.
Piggly Wiggly.
Everybody knows Piggly Wiggly. Everybody knows Piggly Wiggly. Apparently, you are a Piggly Wiggly fan.
Oh, yeah. That's a great logo.
It's just a good name for a store.
A pig in a butcher's hat. How awesome is that?
I don't know. I don't like to think of the meat that I'm eating as being alive in some way.
Ever.
That's why Chick-fil-A's ads, with the cows saying eat more chicken, it just bugs me a little bit.
Ooh, yeah.
Anyway, let's consider it now you've nailed it. He says, but Leo, 64-bit goes to 11. It's like having the amplifier that, they added one notch. See, when you get to 10 and you want a little bit more, on most amplifiers, you're done. But when you can go one more, it goes to 11, see?
It's such a brilliant analogy.
It's exactly
It's like
it.
SPFs that go to 70.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
Excuse me?
We're talking about sunscreen now.
Encase myself in armor.
No, it's the only thing that would go to 70 literally would be armor. Let us answer a call.
Yes. I'm so excited because you're just going to fall in love with Karen.
Well, I don't know if I have room for another woman in my life, but let's try. Karen in Charlottesville,
Hello?
VA. Hi, Karen.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We're 5 by 5. What can I do for you?
Okay. I'm having somebody on remote access to try to help me, but
Okay.
he can't do it.
Okay.
That's current. So I am at my wit's end.
Okay. So tell me what happened.
Okay, I have a 2010 MacBook Air, and I had Maverick, which is a new,
The new operating system. Yeah, you got the new one. Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't want it, and so
You didn't want it?
No, because I don't like the Apple control. And so what I did, I dig all around to try to find a old Windows Vista, just that I could activate. I got activate.
Oh, wait. Slow down. So now you want to put Windows on your MacBook Air?
Yeah, but I've already done it. It's a done deal. And I got the NVIDIA, I got all the things, that SL bus or system bus control.
Who did you call to help you with this? Not Apple.
No, but I'm taking.
Who did you, just out of curiosity, who did you call?
Oh! It's a person, a friend of mine that does.
Oh, a friend of yours. Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, but see, they're on remote access, and they use the Windows. They don't know nothing about the Mac, platform. And I don't like Mac because there's too much control.
Yeah. That's fine. And a MacBook Air makes a nice Windows machine, but you can't make it 100% Windows. You still have to have a Macintosh operating system on it.
No, I deleted it because I only have a 64 gigabyte, and I use the boot camp.
And how's that working for you?
Okay, how's it working for me? Here's the problem. I would hope and pray that your chat room as well as you, because I would call you except I'm desperate. I got all the drivers and everything, the NVIDIA and all that stuff for the graphics, but I need the sound to work. I hear no sound, but the driver, it looks like it's perfect, and everything as far as, where you look device manager. Because, I worked on this pretty hard, and it looks like it's all, it doesn't show, those, exclamation yellow points or whatever. You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. And so all I need is the sound.
I think your problem, I may be wrong, but let me ask the chat room. I think your problem was deleting OS 10. I think you still need, which version of Windows did you install?
Pardon me, I didn't hear what you said.
Which version of Windows did you install?
Oh, I hate it, but I had to do it because I knew I could get it activated. Windows Vista.
Vista, okay.
Yeah, we'll work with that for now.
Okay, so everything else is working except your audio.
Yeah, perfectly. Yeah, yes, sir.
And you did install, I think you did. You downloaded and installed the drivers from Apple, the Boot Camp drivers.
Correct, but I couldn't get them all.
So let me explain the process. I've never heard of anybody deleting the Macintosh partition after installing Windows. I don't know if you can even do that, but the process on a Macintosh of installing Windows in Boot Camp is you'll have a Mac OS 10 install because you need to do that to run the Boot Camp part. And then there is a Boot Camp assistant which you'll run, which will divide your disk up and do something very important, which is download from Apple the drivers for that particular hardware, in your case, the 2010 MacBook Air. It doesn't matter if it's Vista, I don't think. Newer Boot Camp drivers don't support Vista, so there's the problem. So you need to get a newer version of Windows. Windows 7 would be my choice for you. And apparently you can... but But you're stuck now. Do it without OS 10 because you have to go back and install it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our show today brought to you by iFixit. Hey, that's timely. We're going to have them on the show on Sunday, right before TWiT, right after the radio show, to tear down the iPad. Have you been to iFixit.com? That's really what they're best known for, is their teardowns, fabulous teardowns, where they show you how to, how everything is made. And I think they've already done. They fly to New Zealand to get the iPad Air, and then they do a teardown, and that's how we know what's in here, which is really great. But if that's how you know iFixit, I want to tell you there's a lot more to iFixit. In fact, it's really not what they're really there to do. The idea was to make the free repair guide for everything. So they believe, and I totally agree with them. I love Kyle Wiens and the crew because they believe that you have the right to repair something you own. Companies may not feel that way, but you do. It's yours. So they sell tools, they sell parts, and they have free fix-it guides for everything. So they start with the teardowns, and once they do the teardown, they have guides on how to fix everything. So if you go to find a repair guide, everything. It's wonderful. I love these guys. They even do camera and car and truck repair, appliance repair. But often case, then you need to be able to buy the parts. They sell the parts. And you're going to need special tools. Remember I mentioned the spudger? This is the, I love my iFixit. I've left it in the box so I can show you the box and everything. But I love my iFixit toolkit. Look at this. Everybody ought to have this. There's a spudger, by the way. Well, it's not, you could use it. Sure, you could use a painter's scraper, but they have plastic and metal spudgers in here, which are far better for taking apart things like iPads and iPhones, stuff that's glued together. All the tools you need. This is beautifully done. All the bits. iFixit.com. I'm going to get you a deal on this toolkit if you'd like it. iFixit.com/TWiT and use the offer code TechGuy at checkout. And you get $10 off any purchase of $50 or more, including this lovely toolkit. If you want to know more about the 54-bit driver kit, look at this. 54, everything, pentalobe, all the weird torques and everything. If you want to know more about that, bit.ly/54bit. They've got Phillips, pentalobe, torques, tri-wing, triangle. This is for McDonald's toys. They got everything. iFixit.com/TWiT. $10 off when you use the offer code TechGuy or anything on there. iFixit. We love you, iFixit.com. I love this. I'm Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Scott Wilkinson is our home theater guy. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Leo.
Good to have you. Scott is, of course, the editor-in-chief at the AVS Forum, which is a fabulous place, avsforum.com. Also hosts our Home Theater Geek podcast every Monday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on twit.tv, or you can just go to twit.tv/HTG. So I had I had the movers came yesterday. It was
really?
I was nerve-wracked. I actually let them move.
Man.
I let them move the $9,000 OLED TV.
And did they treat it well?
They did.
Good.
Movers today, this is interesting, come with HDTV boxes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't moved for like 15, 16 years.
Well, at least good movers, and we plug for Adams Moving in Petaluma, California. They come with HDTV boxes, and they put the HDTV, so it's like packing it back into the original box.
Well,
so
that's very cool.
And, the OLEDs, tell me, I think if you touch the screen, that's not good.
I've never heard that. I'll have to look into that.
I think the screen is more, all flat panel screens are sensitive.
Pretty sensitive, yeah. But, you can touch them. I'm not sure about the OLED, though. I'll have to look into
them.
Squeeze it. No. Hold me. Squeeze me, baby.
Anyway, good news. It made the trip safely. So happy. Now I just have to buy a lower credenza.
Credenza, yes.
My
you need to buy a lower
credenza's too big.
Yep.
I never thought I'd have to say that. So, Scott, what do you want to talk about today?
Oh, I got a bunch of stuff to talk about. I actually went to the premiere of Ender's Game.
Now, no spoilers, because this is
no spoilers.
This is
I'm not going to spoil
it. But how was it?
I liked it.
I love the book. It's one of my favorite sci-fi books. In fact, I just re-listened to it on Audible.com so that I get ready to go see the movie. And this is my advice to everybody: read the book first if you can.
That's exactly right. And sometimes you don't want to because the movie is so different from the book, you get disappointed. But I will tell you that the movie follows the book quite nicely. Obviously, they had to do a lot of...
It's 2 hours.
It's 2 hours long, and the book is 300 pages.
Yeah.
So they had to cut out a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And they did, but they kept the spirit there. They kept the ethical ambiguities and the characterizations that Card is so good at.
The New York Times mentioned that it was because it's about violent children. I think the New York Times reviewer was a little disturbed by it.
Well,
Would it be disturbing for children to see this?
I don't think so.
I thought it'd be great for kids because the hero of the book is a kid.
Is a kid,
and he's, you know, I mean, I can't even say why he's the hero without spoiling it.
You can't say it without being a spoiler, but
he's good. He's a good kid. You like this
in
kid.
fact,
he's super smart. He's like a super genius, and the adults are grooming him or looking to him to save the world. And,
That's right.
And he's a super genius, so I figure a kid's going to love that. Now, in the book, he starts at 6 years old. He's 12 in the movie, right?
Exactly. They had to compress the time.
It's hard to find 6-year-old actors who can memorize lines.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard some people say people mistakenly think of this book as a children's book, which it's not.
No, far from it, yeah.
Far from it. I mean, it stars children. It basically features children, but they're doing very adult things, not in the sexual way, of course, but
no, there's no sex in this movie.
There's no sex in this movie, and there's no particular violence. I mean, you know, there's a little bit of personal conflict and stuff, but it's not, you know, blood and guts.
Okay.
I was mostly very impressed at how I was afraid that Hollywood was going to turn this wonderful book that I've read and you've read, and is one of my favorite books of all time, you know, into a simple shoot 'em up. You know, just whiz bang, kill everybody, you know, which is a Hollywood's want, right? But they didn't. They actually retained some of the complexity, some of the characterizations that Card does so well. Based on a book by Orson Scott Card, who wrote many books. Many sequels were generated out of this one book. So if this movie succeeds, they got a ton of material for sequels.
Oh, yeah. They left it wide open, I'm sure, too. Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Good.
Anyway,
so
I
a
do
recommendation.
recommend.
And now, but you're not here to recommend movies. You're here to talk about AV. Was it a?
Indeed.
And did you see it in 3D IMAX? How did you see it?
No, it's not released in 3D.
Right on, Ender's Game.
And you know, and there were some scenes that I thought when I was watching it, wow, that would have been great in 3D.
In fact, I haven't seen the movie, but in the book, it's like Gravity. It could be very well 3D. I mean,
exactly. Well, the director Gavin Hood decided that he wasn't going to shoot it in 3D or convert it to 3D afterwards because he thought that a lot of the some of it happens in space. I think we can say that.
A lot of it's in zero gravity.
Zero gravity, and the long space shots he thought would look really cheesy in 3D.
Interesting.
Plus, he used a lot of very long lenses to impart a certain emotional feel, and he thought that, and long lenses don't work that well with 3D.
See, this is I like hearing this because what it means is it's an artistic choice. It's like shooting black and white or color.
Exactly.
That you have to think about the movie and how you want to shoot it, and does it make sense in 3D or not.
Right.
And I like it that he did actually thought about that. Instead of saying,
about that.
Well, the commercial marketplace demands 3D, so I have to make it in 3D.
Right. I thought that was a good decision too. I mean, like I said, there were some scenes that I said, "Wow, I thought that would look great in 3D." But he had his reasons, and they were artistic reasons and valid reasons. And I said, "Okay, fine, I'll accept that." The premiere was at the TCL Chinese Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. You know, the famous Grauman's Chinese.
Right.
Which became then the Mann's Chinese, and more recently, this Chinese company, gigantic.
Well, that's appropriate.
Consumer electronics company in China called TCL bought naming rights. So it's now the.
I've seen TCL TVs. In fact, those are the TVs we buy because they're the cheapest TVs you can get.
Well, they're made in China, and they are coming on really strong. They're going to have a huge presence at CES.
Interesting.
This year. They had a big one last year.
We have TCL TVs everywhere because they're so cheap.
Yeah,
and they're all right for the price, right? We don't need any features. I mean, color's not great, says John, but so they're going to make a push into this marketplace. Was it TCL that had the Microsoft booth at CES last year? Somebody took over the Microsoft booth across from the Intel booth. It was a Chinese TV company.
It was a Chinese TV company. It was Hisense.
That's right. It was Hisense.
Hisense.
So now they're coming.
TCL.
So in other words, it's been Korean and Japanese TVs.
Correct.
Panasonic's getting out of the plasma business.
Yep.
Sony's losing its shirt on TV. So maybe, and the Korean companies, I guess, are still doing well. LG and Samsung.
They are, in fact. TCL is the third largest TV company in the world behind LG and Samsung.
Interesting.
So it
So
was the Japanese.
Here come the Chinese.
Exactly. It was the Japanese. It became the Koreans. Now it's the Chinese.
Do we pronounce TCL tickle? I got a tickle TV.
I've got a tickle TV. I don't think I've ever heard that, but it may catch on now that we've said it.
Right now. Starting it. Yeah.
Exactly. No, TCL last year had a 110-inch ultra high definition TV in their booth, which was also featured in Iron Man 3. Tony Stark had one in his house. So they had a guy in an Iron Man robot suit, and he was prancing around the booth. But they tell me they're going to have some big news this year. They won't tell me what it is.
So are you? So CES is January, first week in January. It's the Consumer Electronics Show. It's where companies go to not so much to pitch end users, but to pitch two very important groups: dealers who are going to buy the stuff for next year,
and then sell it to consumers,
and journalists, because frankly, it's become a big show for people like you to go to and learn what's coming up. You're going to go this year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't miss it.
So I guess we're starting to think about our CES coverage, and we'll probably do Home Theater Geeks from there. And
well, I sure hope so. I would love to do it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. In fact, Lisa sat me down and said, we have to plan this. I said, oh, okay. Scott Wilkinson, AVS4. I don't like going to Vegas if I can help it. AVSforum.com. Thanks for joining us. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Last segment of this hour, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're talking about ultra high definition TVs with Scott Wilkinson. He mentions that quite a bit. And his advice, this is off the air, but I want to pass it along to you, is that you should not buy an ultra high def TV at this point. We've said it for two reasons. Many times we said, well, the content's not there, although I'll tell you why that's changing in a second. The other reason, and I didn't even know this, but this is important, is while the resolution for ultra high def TV has been determined, this is a step beyond HD TV. There's a lot of other questions like color depth that haven't, and color space. So if you buy a TV, an UHD TV today, it may not adhere to the standard tomorrow. So wait, in other words, until it's a reference standard. And there isn't a lot of pressure to buy a 4K TV, mostly because I intermingle 4K and UHD. I shouldn't, because they're not exactly the same resolution. So I'll say UHD from now on. But just this is kind of like the 4Ks we've been talking about. Netflix is doing 4K streaming. They say they're getting ready for it next year. Streaming for these UHD screens. Don't get all excited. It's gonna, in order to come in over the internet, it's gonna have to be awfully compressed. They do have, according to GigaOM, they do have 7 titles on the Netflix catalog. If you have a UHD TV and you just want to see what it looks like, including El Fuente 24MP, which is a bunch of motorcycles and people at produce markets, kids playing on a fountain, streaming at 4K, 24 frames per second. Actually, I've seen, I think, a lot of this footage because it's the same footage they show over and over again at the big trade shows to demonstrate. This was the same thing with HD TV when it first came out. You saw the same clips over and over, mostly from Japanese television, because nobody had HD content. Well, things move fast. Things move fast. If you have a bandwidth cap or a limit on the amount of bandwidth you have, which most of us do, probably not in the near future. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the number. So Karen in Charlottesville called with a fascinating question, and I think I've tracked down the answer for you, Karen, just to circle back here. She has a MacBook Air from 2010. Beautiful, beautiful machine. But she doesn't like OS 10. She doesn't like the Macintosh operating system. She wants to put Windows on it. You know, in hindsight, it would have been a lot less expensive to buy a Windows machine, but okay, you got a Mac. Apple's Boot Camp Assistant lets you take that Air and make it, at least make it a dual boot machine with Windows. And I would continue to do that, by the way. Even if you squeeze the OS, even if you never want to use OS 10, just leave it on there, because that's how you're going to get if you wanted to change the operating system and so forth. But since you deleted it, that's fine. Turns out there are problems with the boot camp drivers. Those are the drivers. Apple has to provide the drivers, right? Because it's Apple hardware. Drivers are the little bits of software that the hardware uses to translate, or operating system uses to translate its commands to the hardware. They're just like intermediaries. So you need drivers for the specific hardware you have. And since it's an Apple device, it has to be from Apple. They do offer those drivers, but it turns out not for Vista First Edition, only for Service Pack 1. So my suspicion is that Karen was using the original version of Vista, wasn't getting proper sound. That means the driver's not working, right? That's the driver interprets the sound card to the operating system, not working. So Karen, install Service Pack 1 of Vista. You can get that from Microsoft. Update it. In fact, just update everything on Vista. And then reinstall the Boot Camp drivers, and everything should work, according to our brilliant chat room. Thank you, chat room. Mark in Santa Ana, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. By the way, thanks. I'm now down 76 pounds.
Wow. Now, is that because I make you nauseous? What?
No.
You're doing the no-carb diet our Steve Gibson recommended?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I could have done much more. I've actually gained and lost like 12 pounds 3 times since April.
Well, I'd love to lose 76 pounds. I would love to. Steve, who is a security guru, you heard him on the show last week, by the way, is a big advocate of this, well, I guess it's called paleo-style diet. No, but basically the idea is no wheat, nothing white. No potatoes, no rice, no wheat. It certainly is. So it's been effective for you. That's good. We're not physicians.
Yeah, and no diet drinks either. That completely, even being on low carb, if you take diet drinks, it'll just stop your weight loss.
Oh, I like water. I'm very lucky. Thank goodness. I love water. So yeah, that makes sense. Good. That's good to know, Mark.
Okay, so I've got.
Is this Mark? Is this the Mark I've known for years?
Yes, I like to listen to stuff twice speed.
Mark, I'm so proud of you. 76 pounds. That's awesome.
Yeah, hopefully next summer I want to come up and see like Horse Castle and Winchester Mystery House, and I want to visit you guys.
Good. I won't recognize you probably. Hey, congratulations. Are you still working as a video editor?
No, it's not video. I do computer stuff.
Computer stuff. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. By the way, sandboxing, you should discuss sandboxing more. I mean, I don't sell it, but I've had people get the FBI virus while being in sandboxing, and they just hard turned off their computer, turned it back on. It was gone because it's all contained in that sandbox.
Brilliant idea, and it is a nice piece of software. Still works with Windows 8?
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, I'm trying to find a place where I can get crypto lockers so I can infect my machine and see if it'll hold that off, too.
The idea is this notion of a sandbox. That is, programs run inside a protected space, and if they get a virus, the virus can't get out of the protected space. So you just say, well, I guess you corrupted your sandbox. We're going to have to put in new sand. And all is well again.
Yep. Fresh kitty litter.
Fresh kitty litter. That's great. I'm glad to hear it still works for Windows 8. Originally designed for Internet Explorer. Now it works for a lot of software.
Yep. The only problem with Windows 8 now is that, Silverlight isn't working inside the sandbox, but he's working on it.
Yeah, Microsoft doesn't want to keep making Silverlight anyway, so.
Yep. So I have a Mac, which is always my problems, believe it or not.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. And so, since I like to listen fast, but I can't read fast, I just simply want to OCR stuff and put it through Apple's text-to-speech. But it jitters.
Oh,
At first, I thought it was because I was trying to listen to the Affordable Care Act and it was choking on it.
I don't know. What are you talking about?
Literally.
So this is how Apple speeds up the digital voices, and it's not a good way to do it. They take little bits out.
No, I'm not trying to speed it up. I'm just trying to have it do text-to-speech, regular speed, but it's still... It sounds like it's stuttering, just plain old-fashioned Porky Pig stuttering.
Really? I don't have that problem. I wonder why that's happening.
Yeah, I don't know either. And should I just upgrade to Mavericks? Is Mavericks much better even on like a 2009?
It might be. Let me just try. This is Mavericks text-to-speech out of the browser, just straight out. Let me just see what it sounds like. I've never noticed it juddering. Oh, I don't have sound out working. Oh, well. Can't play it for you right now. But I haven't noticed a problem. Yeah, Mavericks is a free upgrade from OS 10. If it's late model hardware, which I'm sure it is, Mark, I would probably do the upgrade, you bet.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Hey, thanks for the call, Mark. If anybody comes up with a reason why the text-to-speech is stuttering on the Macintosh, I don't know why that is. That's something that's built into the operating system. It's a nice feature. I'm not sure. I was hoping I could play this back for you just to see. You have different voices you can download, which is awfully nice. And I haven't had any problems with it in the past. Apparently, says Beef Team, text-to-speech on Mavericks, the new operating system, is much more accurate. That what you would expect. They've spent a lot of energy on that. 8888 asked Leo. Mark mentioned something called Crypto Locker. Want to reiterate that this is a nasty new kind of ransomware that's going around these days. Started about a month ago. We've talked about the ransomware before. That's where you get the message on the screen that says, "Warning!" There's a big FBI or Department of Justice seal on it. "We've detected that illegal activities are going on in this computer." Now, the FBI normally would come and arrest you, but instead, if you give us $300, we'll forget it ever happened. And they ask you to go to the 7-Eleven and pick up a money pack coupon and pay them. Now, fortunately, the early versions of ransomware were really more holding your system hostage, by blocking you from running programs. But it was easy to get around. There's a new kind of ransomware. No longer pretends to be the Interpol, the FBI. They've come out of the closet. Yes, we're bad guys, and we have encrypted all your data, your documents, your PDFs, your pictures, all the stuff you care about. We scrambled it using strong encryption. No one can get this data back, and they're right, by the way, because they're using high-quality encryption. We have the key, but we will destroy this key in 72 hours if you do not send us $300. It's real. It's genuine. It works. So be very careful. Even antiviruses in many cases can't stop it. Be very careful. I'll tell you how to stop it when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, cell phones, and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is my number. You'll find that number and everything we talk about, and audio and video of the shows, questions and answers, and links to our chat room at our website, techguylabs.com. Techguylabs.com. Make a note of that. That's really all you need. 8888 Ask Leo. David in I almost said in the North Pole, in Northridge, California. Hi, David.
Hi. The reason I'm calling today is my laptop is starting to wear out. I need a new one. And the only really requirements I have is I like to do a little Photoshop. And I've got a separate monitor sometimes I like to attach to it, but I can't calibrate it to the laptop that I have.
You have a separate monitor and you can't calibrate it. So you're pretty serious about getting the screen color accurate, in other words.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both Microsoft and Apple have taken this more seriously. Apple first, of course, but Microsoft later, by offering much more accurate profiles for your displays so that you can use the stock profiles, ability to do that, and so forth. But if you really want to calibrate it, a lot of times people will go out and get a spectrophotometer, which is a device that you put on the screen and actually, with special software, measures the screen. It's a little feedback loop with the software and allows you to generate a profile for that screen so that it's accurate. Are you saying you can't calibrate it using something like that, or?
Right. I bought that, what is it called, Spider Pro?
The Spider, yeah. The Spider's a very affordable one, yeah.
Once I hooked it up, I got a message on there saying that they couldn't calibrate a second monitor, and I called them and emailed them, and I never got a response.
Interesting. So they can calibrate a primary monitor, but not the second monitor.
Right.
That may be because the operating system doesn't allow separate profiles for a separate monitor.
Mm-hmm.
That would be one guess, is that you have the opportunity to, I don't know. That's strange because you do have a different driver for that monitor.
Mm-hmm.
What video card are you using?
It's just I don't know. It's an NVIDIA video card, you know.
Chumley said this is an issue with Spider. Spiders will not calibrate multimons, none of them, which is very odd. I would have thought, oh, the issue is you can only have one profile with a video card or whatever. I guess what you could do is make that second monitor the primary monitor and then calibrate it then.
Okay.
And then what you'd have to do is, so now what a calibration does is it creates a profile that you then need to load on that monitor, and that would depend on your operating system and video card drivers to have that ability. So it's not going to be hard to create the profile. Just make that second monitor your main monitor.
Okay, that sounds good.
And then you'll at least be able to get a profile out of it. Now, whether you can apply that profile, that I can't say. It just depends on what the capabilities are. And it's really, the chat room seems to be pretty aligned on the idea that it's an issue for the card, the video card. Some cheaper video cards do not allow you to have multiple profiles. One profile fits all. But if you really care about color, you're probably not using a cheap video card anyway. You want to use a good video card. Kirok says on Macs, Spiders calibrate multiple monitors. He's done it. Spider 4 Pro will calibrate multiple monitors, says AAD Wax. So it might be depending on your Spider. But assuming you have a Spider 4 Pro, I think he said a Spider Pro, it must be a video card issue. Make it the primary monitor. You can usually do that just by swapping cables. You might have to change the setting in BIOS and then calibrate it and then save that profile. At least you've got a profile. Now the trick is, how do you apply separate profiles? And you could take that the monitor off now, make it the second monitor again. 8888 ask Leo, that's the number. Why is he so care so much about this? This is actually a good question. If you've ever taken a photograph and you look at the photograph, then you put it up on your screen and it looks different. The reds look different. It's more magenta, or the greens look brown, or, that's because there is no like hard set color definition. Every monitor makes color differently within monitors. So to really get accurate color rendition, and photographers want this because they want to be able to take a picture, looks good on the camera, looks good out there, put it on the computer, adjust it, do white balance or whatever, make it look good, make it match the scene, or give it the look they want, and then send it to somebody. Now, the problem, of course, is you put it on the web, everybody's monitor's different. You can't calibrate it all the way down the line, but at least you can have everything calibrated within your own space. The biggest and most difficult calibration is printing. Mostly because the way printers create color, paper, things on paper create color is different. On a screen, it's transmissive, isn't it? The way the color is created is by filters on the screen as white light shines through it. So it's transmissive light coming from the screen into your eyes. On a piece of paper, it's reflective. Light bounces onto the color on the print and bounces back into your eyes. So the very way color is created is very different. So it's hard to get a printer and a screen to match. But you can make it better. You just need some hardware to do it. The printer uses a colorimeter. That's a different piece of hardware. You calibrate the printer with the colorimeter. You calibrate the monitor with a spectrophotometer, and then you do a lot of test prints, and you get, those are pretty good. And believe it or not, photographers spend a lot of time doing this. It is very difficult. But even at that point, all you've done is you've got it calibrated within your own system. The minute you put it on the web, or you post it on a website on Flickr, you send the file to somebody, all bets are off because they're not calibrating, at least not the same as you are. So, as somebody said in the chat room, faithful color rendition is an illusion. Deal with it. That might be the case. At least with prints. If you're a photographer and you're making beautiful fine art prints, you can control that. You can control that, but you're going to spend a lot of time calibrating. It's a pain. I just ignore it. The good news is modern computers with good monitors, not cheap computers, modern computers with good monitors are pretty well calibrated out of the box. And Apple spent a lot of, one of the reasons photographers use Apples a lot is because Apple has spent a lot of time on this. And if you're using Apple monitors, which are very accurate to begin with Apple profiles and the Apple computer, generally you're doing pretty well. Now you only have to worry about the printer. Yeah. This is why pros spend a lot of money on their monitors. 8888 ask Leo. Let's say hello to Pat in San Bernardino. Hi, Pat. Oh, I'm sorry, not Pat. Samuel in Canberra, Australia. All right, right on. Hi, Samuel. We'll get to you next, Pat. Hi, Samuel.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. Welcome to the show.
Good. Thank you. You know, you look very cute in there with all of those iPads. Looks like Christmas.
It feels like Christmas when the new iPads come out, doesn't it? We have a visitor in town right now from Melbourne. Ian's visiting from Melbourne, so we have Australian. I'm not only surrounded by iPads, but Australians.
It's the best way to be, Leo.
I agree. I agree. You guys know how to party, and you have us, and it's summertime at Christmas time, and that's a good thing.
It certainly is. Look, I'm coming over to the US next year.
Awesome.
For about 4 weeks, and I'm wondering if you have any recommendations for a phone carrier. So I'm traveling sort of all over the US, and I probably need to use the phone, not really for phone calls, but probably for data.
Data is the big issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would say T-Mobile. You don't have a lot of choice in the U.S. Of course, the issue is going to be you need an unlocked phone. That is a phone that allows you to put it. Yeah, okay. So that's part one. T-Mobile is GSM, and I presume you're using a GSM phone.
Yep.
So your choice in the U.S. for GSM is AT&T and T-Mobile. Both will allow you to buy a data SIM. It'll give you a U.S. phone number, obviously. But I like T-Mobile. They're Deutsche Telekom. They really are more aware of how this stuff works. We don't have the vast choice you do, but hey, at least we got one. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So Google's Nexus 5 phone came out. Google has made Nexus phones for some time. Originally, they started doing these phones with the Nexus 1. The idea was, I think, let's get rid of carriers. We don't want to sell through carriers. We want to sell directly to our customers. That way we control the phone, the hardware, we control the software, we control the horizontal, we control the vertical. Everything is ours. And then you bring it to a carrier and say, please, sir, will you activate this phone? Unfortunately, Google learned very quickly you can't get rid of the carriers. They have such a grip on the United States market that you can't do it. So they have started, subsequently with other Nexus products, they've sold them through carriers. But these phones are much prized by geeks. The Nexus 4, which came out a year ago, the geeks loved it. I was less than impressed by it. I thought it's nice. It's nice. It's unlocked, and Google sold that for a very low price. About half as much as the unlocked or unsubsidized phones that carriers were selling. The Nexus 5, everybody was waiting. They were so excited. The other advantage of these Nexus phones, by the way, is they're pure Google experience. There's nothing from the carriers. There's nothing from the manufacturers. And they are updated by Google. Google guarantees we will update this as soon as there's a new operating system. You'll get it first. So the Nexus 5, which was announced on Friday, Thursday on Halloween, is running the latest Android, the first phone to be using KitKat. And it's nice because it's made by LG. It's kind of an analog or analogous to the LG G2 without the strange buttons on the back and so forth. It's a nice phone. Nice phone. Now, what's interesting is Google is still selling this top-of-the-line phone for much, much less. I think the starting price was $350 for a 16-gigabyte version. The 32 gigs was $400. Unlocked, unsubsidized, out the door. And I think these are probably going to be very nice phones. Of course, I ordered one right away, but don't have it yet. Should get it this week, and I'll talk about it next weekend. But beware. If you go to play.google.com, if Google has them in stock, you can get them at those very low prices. But if you go to, let's say, Best Buy to buy that $350 phone, they will charge you $700 for it. How do they get away with that? I don't understand. Maybe because there's a 2 to 3 week wait or more on the phone from Google. But that seems like scalping, frankly. Really seems like scalp. I'm surprised that Best Buy would do that. Some other stores are doing it as well. So best to get it. If you didn't get it right away from Google and you missed the boat, they still are offering them with as little, for the 32 gig, as little as a 2 to 3 week wait. Although I noticed they said the same thing when I ordered the phone. They said it would be shipping November 8th, and they shipped it right away. So maybe these dates are a little bit intentionally pessimistic so that you'll be pleasantly surprised when it comes early. eBay, $500 to $600 for this phone. People want it. There's demand for it. There's a demand for it. But I don't think you should pay more for it than Google's selling it for, unless you got money to burn. I will let you know about the phone. It does not have a replaceable battery. You cannot put an SD card in it. So we don't know yet if there's enough storage. We don't know yet if there's enough battery life. Camera is 8 megapixels, has some interesting features, but I bet you these phones notoriously not as good as the iPhone for the camera. But I can't review it. Don't have it yet. I'll have it by next time. 8888 Ask Leo is the number. Now we go to Pat in San Bernardino. Hi, Pat. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo.
Hey, Pat.
Hey, I have 2 statements and one very serious question for you.
Okay.
So the first statement is that I love what you do.
Thank you.
It's a great pleasure to hear what you do.
Can I reveal a secret, a trade secret? I love what I do, too. I am the luckiest guy in the world. I get to sit here and talk about the new phones, the new iPads. I mean, what could possibly be wrong with this? And they pay me American dollars. It's great.
And it's great for us to know what's happening in the tech world.
Well, I think, it's interesting. I watch 2 of my compatriots, David Pogue of the New York Times, who's left the New York Times to go to Yahoo. Walt Mossberg of the Wall Street Journal has been doing this as long as I have, since 1991. He just left the Wall Street Journal to start his own enterprise. These guys, like me, get to play with all the latest stuff, but the world is changing. And, nowadays, while there's some interest in processor speeds maybe and how much memory you have, it really is more about what you can do with these things. So we all are changing a little bit. We have to change our context a little bit, start talking more about what you can do with these things than what's inside the box. So I think that's interesting, but obviously it's completely boring to you. So let's go on. You said 2 statements.
2 statements. The second statement is that San Bernardino, California.
Yes, where you live.
Is the best place ever.
Now, let me ask you, is it okay to call it San Berdu?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good.
San Berdu is the best place ever.
What do you like about it?
What do I like about it is that I've lived here for my whole life. We have the mountains. We have the green trees. We have hiking trails. It's just a great place to not only embrace technology, but also get away from it.
Because you're it's kind of the L.A. area, right?
It's about an hour away from L.A.
Yeah.
We're up here more in the Forest Falls.
So you got the best of both worlds. You're near a big city.
You can surf, you can snowboard, you can skate.
That's awesome. I'm moving. Do you mind if I move in?
You can come over.
I'll come over. I'll be right there. All right, and your question, your very, very important question.
My very, very important question is, if you were to call into the tech guy, what would you ask?
Where do you get that fabulous hair? It's so attractive and well coiffed. No, I don't know what I'd ask. I'm in my own head, so I know the answers to all those questions. But I think that one of the things I like it when people ask is when they ask for buying advice. And I think I do something very different than most people. Because I get to play with most of this stuff, I really have a pretty good sense of what it all can do. And I like to customize my answer. Sometimes this drives people crazy because, I'm supposed to pick a team and stick with it. What team are you on, Leo? Are you on the Apple team or are you on the Android team? Are you Windows? Are you Mac? Please pick a team and stick with it. And it drives them crazy because one day I'll say, you should get an iPad. Another day I'll say, well, you need a Windows Surface tablet. And it drives them nuts. But I try to listen to what people are saying, and I try to give them a recommendation for something that's right for their needs. So think of this as a shoe store where I measure your foot and then I give you some options. Not one size fits all. I don't try to shoehorn you into those Manolo Blahniks when really a very fine Cole Haan would be plenty. You know what I'm saying, Heather? You know where I'm talking here?
Sure did.
I'm just a shoe salesman that doesn't have to get down on his knees. That's all I am, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, thank you for the call, Pat. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. You can go to the website, techguylabs.com, and find answers to all our questions. Join us in the chat room, too. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, you know who else has the best job in the world? These guys at the IT Pro TV. They were in the other day, and it was really fun to meet with them, and they posed for the traditional Fez picture. If you would like to get your certifications in a variety of different areas, you want to get your A+, or your what are all the? I gotta look up the certifications. The Net Plus, the Security Plus, those are the CompTIA, the Microsoft Certified System Administrator for Server 2012 or Windows 8. If you want to get your CCNA for Cisco or your CCENT, this is the place to go. But you know, for the price of basically one of those books, you can live it up and enjoy yourself by watching essentially what looks like screensavers content. And they freely admit it. They said, we watched your speech at NAB, and we said we could do this. They were already doing this kind of training. So they've pretty much duplicated what we do on TWiT. They have live stream. Actually, this is previously recorded, but they do have live streams, so you can be in the chat room, ask questions. They'll respond. They show you how to do this stuff. Of course, you can download the episodes that are appropriate to the cert you want. But when you subscribe, you get all of it. CompTIA, Microsoft, and Cisco. And they're adding more all the time. Everything is in HD or SD quality. They have a Roku channel, which makes it very easy to put this up on your big screen and learn while you're eating your breakfast. Of course, it'll stream to your computer, your mobile device as well. And a flat rate means you don't have to worry to get all this education. Much cheaper than going to IT boot camp. Easy cancellation once you're done, once you feel like, hey, I got it. I got my A+, yeah. And I love it that they're doing what we do. In a sense, in fact, I got to show you because it looks so much like the screensavers. And they freely admit that. And I'm thrilled. I said, guys, thank you. I'm not only honored by the, I'm going to go to itpro.tv/techguy. I'm not only honored by the homage, I think this is the right way to do it. Look at the set. It's the screensavers. I think this is the way to do it. If you really want to learn, this is the way to learn. And now we're going to offer you a very good deal. Normally it's $57 a month, $570 a year. But right now, because they're such big fans of TWiT, they are offering a very good deal. If you sign up between now and the end of the year, so you only have a little bit of time left, use the offer code TG50 and 50% off forever. $28.50 a month for this. Or buy the yearly plan, it's even cheaper, $285 a year. I just think these guys are knocking it out of the park. This is the future of IT learning. itpro.tv/techguy. Use the offer code TG50. You'll get 50% off. I think these guys are great. And by the way, they frequent our chat room. You can ask them questions there. They are regulars. itpro.tv/techguy. Learn without knowing it. That's right, Kardashinsky. Learn without knowing it. I'm Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Johnny Jet is here, and I saw you quoted all over the country this week.
Wow.
They put Johnny, quote, Jet Di Scala. Johnny, quote, Jet Di Scala. But I call him Johnny Jet because that's his website, johnnyjet.com. And the reason is the celebration, the cheers heard coast to coast, because finally the FAA, with a little nudging by JetBlue and Delta, has said you can now use your devices gate to gate.
Yep, that was great news for travelers.
So the Delta and JetBlue were on the committee that did this. So it's clear that the carriers are feeling pressure from flyers. They're saying, please, we want to keep our Kindle on.
Did you see JetBlue's first picture yesterday?
No. Was it on their Twitter?
Yeah, they tweeted a picture of, it was like all the employees on the plane in the seats, and they're all holding their PDAs, including a captain was, I think, in the front row.
So one of the issues, of course, is there was concern, and there's been concern for a long time, about interference, that they could cause trouble with the navigation, the radios. was that overblown, or I mean, what happened?
Well, I mean, they're not allowing you to use any data or cellular between while you're at the gate.
Now
So,
that may also be because I know the cell phone companies would hate it if you could use your cell phone, because that rapid handoffs as you fly 600 miles an hour across the country kill cell systems. So that has nothing to do with navigation or safety. I'm sure the cell phone companies are saying you cannot do this because these cell towers are designed to hand off, as you drive down the highway. They're designed for 60 miles an hour, not 600.
Well, I hope they don't do it, first of all, because I don't want to hear the person next to me speaking.
And then I told him, Matilda, you can't clean with a mop. You've got to use a broom. It's like, oh, God, I don't want to hear that either.
Oh my! And people speak on their cell phones so loud.
Yeah. So they're not allowing phone calls. They're not allowing cellular data, you said?
Not until or Wi-Fi until 10,000 feet.
Oh, so you can't even use the GoGo in-flight Wi-Fi?
Not until 10,000 feet.
Okay.
It wouldn't even turn on.
Right. So that's not changed. But you could, if you're playing a game on your iPad, you could.
If you're playing a game, or if you're reading your Kindle. So Amazon's really happy.
Mostly, I think it's Kindle. I mean, it's mostly reading books. I mean, I can stop Plants vs. Zombies for a few minutes.
For sure. I think it's reading. Everyone's using an e-reader these days.
You said, I feel sorry for flight attendants.
I kind of gave her a bad quote in that because I just did. That's why I even promote that story, because I was like, man, I sound like a fool in that story.
No, I agree with you, because flight attendants now have to go down the row and figure out if you've got radios on.
True, but if they see you on a BlackBerry, which no one has anymore, I just got rid of mine. I just think that they'll be able to tell if you're on the phone. You're not allowed to be on the phone, so that's one of the big things. Right. Or if you're sitting there texting.
But you can't tell if somebody's got a web page up. You don't know if they're surfing the net or you're just reading. So
but I used to always tell my seatmate before. I used to get in a fight with them. I would say, "Turn your phone off."
Knock it off.
And it was always the business travelers who were using their. It's like, can't you just be without email for 10 minutes?
They're blasé because they fly so much.
I fly a lot. I have no problem turning it off.
Yeah. Well, anyway, JetBlue and Delta started it right away. The other airlines, I guess, are waiting for FAA certification because they do want to check that the planes are shielded, that it won't cause a problem, they say. That may be a little face-saving. I think a lot of the reason they didn't offer any of this stuff is because they really wanted to use the paid Wi-Fi and the paid cell phones. There's another issue, though, that's a very serious issue. If people are playing, Candy Crush during the safety announcement,
they're not paying attention.
They're not paying attention.
And that was one of the main reasons that they didn't have it.
Right.
So, but by the way, did you see my other story that I wrote this week?
I was very touched and moved by this. And why don't you tell this story? This was a Delta flight you took this week.
Tuesday night. It was Tuesday night, I think it was. Yeah, because I was supposed to fly Monday. I was sick. I had to cancel my flight. I wasn't even supposed to be on it. I was flying from Sarasota to Atlanta to L.A.
You said this was the most memorable flight you've ever taken.
It is, and I cry when I talk about it. But we're 45 minutes before landing it seemed like an ordinary flight, and the captain got on the PA and said, when we land in Los Angeles, I want you to know, first of all, don't be alarmed if you see fire trucks. And then, because he said we have a fallen soldier on the plane.
Wow.
And that Los Angeles likes to greet them with a water cannon salute. And then he also said, there's a military escort on the plane, so we want them to come off the plane first to tend to the casket. So please, everyone stay seated, even though we were 20 minutes late or 30 minutes late. And then when we landed, I guess another military officer came onto the plane and gave an oath, a sworn oath, to that escort. And then he told the whole cabin. I wish he used a PA because it was difficult to hear him. But he said, I just addressed the escort. It is a sworn oath to bring home to the family the fallen. He paused and then said, today we all did that. You all did that. You're all escorts of the heart. And then he thanked us for our time and walked off the plane. And man, every single person in the plane was crying, had lumps in their throats. And then when he got off the plane, half the plane was by the window watching one of the saddest things I've ever seen in my life. And the casket come off and the mother or the wife go up to the casket and put her hand on it. And I took some pictures and video. I had no idea the thing was going to go viral. I mean, I put the video up 2 days ago. It had 1.5 million views as of this morning.
Wow.
And it was on the homepage of Yahoo.
It's very moving when you see it. It really is. And the story is very moving. And I didn't know that this was the standard procedure.
It wasn't. It was just, that's the most remarkable thing. It was just 7 years ago, I think. It was a Delta or Northwest Airlines baggage handler in Minneapolis who changed it all because he was sick and tired of pulling caskets off like luggage. And so I believe he created this honor guard or helped arrange it. And now it's just amazing what they've done.
That's as it should be.
And American does the same. It's not just Delta. American does the same. I've seen it on American. I've heard United does it too. I just haven't seen that. Wow. But again, it just realized that we live in such an amazing country, and if it wasn't for our military, that we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And I think a lot of people forget about that, and I am one of them. But
well, and what a privilege and honor for everybody on that flight to be part of the honor guard, I think.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. Fallen soldier on my Delta flight. It's a great story. You can see it on the front page of Yahoo, but also I would recommend JohnnyJet.com. The video's there. Wow, Johnny. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. And just, I imagine it will happen to others, and now you'll know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to bring everyone down, but it's just something to think about.
It's quite moving, and we still have men and women on the line of fire around the world, and so I think they deserve that honor.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And then yesterday at LAX, shooting. I was in LAX at the same time 24 hours before to fly up here. I'm in Oakland, California right now.
Wow.
And it's crazy.
It's dangerous out there, isn't it?
It is.
But don't let it stop you. Don't let it stop you. Get on out there. Get around the country. Enjoy yourself.
That's right.
And maybe if you're lucky, you'll get on a Delta flight and get to be part of an honor guard like that, because I think that's an amazing experience.
Well, hopefully that won't happen anymore. Hopefully we won't lose any more
soldiers. Be nice not to ever have to do that. I agree. But I don't see that happening in the world as we know it.
Right.
Johnny Jet, JohnnyJet.com. Follow him on Twitter at JohnnyJet. And I have a feeling that it was you and me and Nick Bilton of the New York Times complaining endlessly about not being able to use our electronic devices on flights that changed that as well. So
yes, it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice for everyone, especially my wife.
But pay attention when the flight attendant says turn it off, and when there's a safety announcement, watch it so you don't get in my way when I'm jumping down the slide.
That's why the airlines are making these great new videos, new safety videos.
They're more entertaining.
Which Virgin America just did this week, and Delta has a new one coming out for the holidays.
At a time, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You'll forgive me, I got distracted. I started watching the Air New Zealand flight safety video with Betty White. Wow. So there's a good reason for the FAA to allow us to use our electronic devices during takeoff, that now the airlines have to come up with something interesting for the safety video, the safety briefing, and so that we'll watch. Nothing wrong with that. Let them spend a little bit. Air New Zealand, I'll put a link in the chat room to the Air New Zealand video. It's on YouTube and other places. In fact, watch the whole set, because they have one with Peter Jackson and the Hobbits, because that's where, of course, the Hobbits filmed, and Lord of the Rings. That's awesome. Do you remember Deltalina, Heather? You probably wouldn't. All the guys know what I'm talking about. They had a Delta safety video with a kind of stunning red-headed flight attendant who has since been dubbed Deltalina. She's an actual Delta flight attendant. Gorgeous woman, but also there's a moment that nobody will ever forget where she says smoking is not allowed on any Delta flight, and she wags her fingers, and it's just
and every
guy is going,
I'll do whatever you say.
Whatever you say, Deltalina.
It had a little dominatrix kind of
she
underpinning,
has a Twitter account, Deltalina.
She sounds like a good Halloween costume.
Oh yeah, a little red hair.
Yeah.
You could totally pass for Deltalina. Just go walk around wagging your finger. That could get a little tiring. You got a whole 364 days to plan.
Yeah, right.
What was your Halloween?
Bad cop.
Was it a sexy bad cop or just a bad cop?
Well, it was a little sexy. I'll try not to draw out the story, but everybody's so over, like, oh my God, people are wearing a G-string and going, I'm a giraffe.
Let's not do that.
What?
Yeah.
No, you're not.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're Borat. 8888 Ask Leo. Moving along here to Valerie in Los Angeles, our next caller. Hi, Valerie. Leo Laporte.
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Laporte. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I am doing fine. As a matter of fact, I'm in my ceramics class, which leads me to my question.
Oh, that's great. Is everybody listening in now in the ceramics class?
Yeah. What it is I have to do a lot of research, and I'm on the fly, so I'm always on my HT server down using the internet there, downloading pictures, downloading Word files. How can I hook my phone up directly to my printer through some type of USB port? Because for some reason, my phone will not sync up to my laptop, which I have a Toshiba.
Right. So in many cases, you can print directly from Android devices using something called Google Print. So there is an app in the Play Store, and you have an Android device. The Resound is Android. You can download free called Google Print. Now, Google Print allows you to print over the internet. Not all printers support it, but Cloud Print works on many modern printers. What it does on mine, so it's very easy to set up the printer. And now I can print from my phone anywhere to my printer at home. And when I get home, there's the printout. If you have a printer that doesn't do it, Google Cloud Print will allow you to print to other places, like you could print to a Kinko's. Things. It's kind of odd. But it's Cloud Print. It's printing from the cloud. And if you think about it, this is something much needed with Google's strategy going forward, because the idea of the Google Chromebook and Google Android devices, a lot of the Google hardware is that you're not connected to a printer. In fact, who connects to printers anymore? We're so mobile. It's the last thing you want to do is plug into a printer. So, of course, if you're at home, you can print over Wi-Fi. But what about mobile devices, which are rarely at home? We print over the cloud. So go to there are two things you need to do to make this work. You need to install the Cloud Print application. Search for Google Cloud Print. It's free. There are third-party versions, but get the one from Google, because that's new and they allow that for free. And then make sure or check to see if your printer supports Cloud Print. Some printers, there are other ways to print. For instance, the chat room's reminding me, HP printers, you can email them. Now, in order for that to work, of course, they have to be hooked up to your computer. But you can't. There are ways and ways to do this. Apple has AirPrint from iPads and iPhones. I like the idea of Google Cloud Print, though. This is exactly right. It allows you to set up multiple printers, so you can actually choose. I'm going to print at work. I'm going to print at home. I have Cloud Print printers at both places. I want to print to Kinko's, a variety of different places you can print to. So it's actually a good choice for you. Good luck with your ceramics. I hope your pot comes out nicely. Alex in New York, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Alex.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for taking my call.
Well, thank you for calling. What can I do for you?
I am at sort of an impasse with the fact that I have an Acer laptop.
Yeah.
It's an Aspire 5538.
Okay.
And it's getting old and getting slow, and it's having trouble doing. It's a hand-me-down computer, so it's having trouble streaming, which is mainly what I use my computer for besides homework and stuff.
Yeah, it's about 3 years old.
Right. So what is to be expected from any laptop? So I'm looking to get either a really good iPad or something as the equivalent.
That's a good idea. What's your budget, Alex?
What should I get? Or a new computer or something like that?
How much your mom and dad going to let you spend?
Well, the problem is it's all my money.
How much are you going to let you spend?
I'm around $800.
Oh, you're in great shape. So is this for school?
I don't know if I want to get an iPad or a computer.
Is this for schoolwork, Alex?
Huh?
Schoolwork?
A little bit of everything.
Do you play games? Are you a gamer?
Yes, I am.
What games do you play?
Mostly I play iOS games.
Oh, well, that solves that problem. Because if you'd said Minecraft, I would have to say, well, iPad's not an ideal solution. Yeah, there's Minecraft PE, the personal edition, but it's not real Minecraft. I
also play Minecraft.
You do play Minecraft?
Yes.
Now, that Acer probably is good enough to continue for Minecraft. You can make that a Minecraft
yeah, it works
machine.
fine for Minecraft.
Because Minecraft's not very demanding. I think it sounds like you are a good candidate for the iPad. And what I would do is I would get one of the new iPads. You could get an iPad 2, but boy, you know, you only save $100 and it's so old, I just can't recommend it. So maybe get an iPad Air. But what you're also going to want to get is a keyboard so that you can write papers and so forth.
And what type of keyboard would you recommend?
Right now, because this iPad Air just came out on Friday, I don't know yet because all of the current keyboards are designed for the old iPad.
Right, for the 4.
Yeah, you might be able. Yeah, you might be able to get a 4 cheaply. Let's see here. The ones I like are from Logitech, and I wonder if they're offering them yet. Yeah, they do. So Logitech has updated their keyboards for the iPad Air. If you get a Wi-Fi iPad Air, and I bet you have Wi-Fi at school and at home, right?
Well, the problem is we're not. I live in New York City, so most 99% of schools don't let anything technology-wise in.
The school won't let you, so it doesn't matter what you get in that case, right?
Well, it's for homework, for like typing stuff.
Yes, this is for home use then.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit. Are you in high school?
Yeah, I'm a sophomore.
So it's a little bit. Okay. So that's one choice. Would be an iPad. It sounds like you're an iOS user already. So an iPad with one of the Logitech keyboards, which will run you around $100. That's not a bad choice. That's about $500 for Wi-Fi. If you want to get 32 gigs, you don't need more than 32 gigs. That's going to be $600 plus keyboard, $700. So it's still in your budget. But here's another option that a lot of students are using. You're not going to be able to game on it, so keep that Acer for Minecraft and games. Keep your iPhone for the iOS stuff. Take a look at a Chromebook. If you go to now, I don't normally recommend Chromebooks for most people because really all it is a very inexpensive computer with a browser. The operating system is Chrome, is the browser. But for a student, this is not a bad choice. And boy, the price is right. The new HP Chromebook 11 is probably the one I would look at. $279, which is a great price. It is, kind of like a netbook, but there's no security issues. It has a keyboard, so you're able to write papers on it. You've got great browsing. And it's cheap. It's cheap enough that you can save some of that $800 and buy ice cream or something. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our show today brought to you by our good friends at Ring Central. That's who does our phone system here at the Brick House Studios, and I'm really happy to have them as a sponsor because, the way it happened is when we moved into the Brick House, we got a phone. We needed a phone system, and Russell said, get Ring Central. I've installed it. It's all cloud-based. You don't have to worry about hardware, configuration. It's very flexible, very powerful, very affordable, $20 per user per month. That includes long-distance minutes, includes faxes to your mailbox, voicemail to your mailbox. So we got it. And we've been very happy. That's more than 2 years ago. We've been very happy. And then Ring Central said, hey, would you, completely independently, would you consider doing ads? And I said, yeah. We love Ring Central. Producers get their voicemails and their emails. They can put the Ring Central app on their smartphone and use that for business calls, for business texting. You get an auto receptionist, which I love. That means if you call our 800 number, it'll give you the phone tree, which is very flexible. You do it all on the web very easily. But you also have a phone directory. Callers are greeted. It announces employees and department extensions. It tells you who's calling. If you get calls after hours, you can set it up so it'll call your smartphone or leave it on voicemail. I mean, just think of it utterly flexible. Anything you wanted to do. Here's a one that's you can't do on anything I've ever seen. If somebody's on hold and you're on another line, you could type a message in. It will be translated from text to speech and read to them on hold. Leo's on another line, but he knows you're waiting, John, and he'll be there in 60 seconds. This is like amazing. So I want you to check it out, ringcentral.com. They have a 30-day trial for our listeners. Makes it very easy for you to see if it's the right thing. Because you don't have to buy a lot of hardware. It's very simple. They will subsidize your phones. When you buy one desk phone, you'll get a second phone free up to a total of 20 phones. So that's nice. Ringcentral.com. Promo code is TWiT or call 800-543-9980. 800-543-9980. It's really great for any business that has employees in more than one place, because it sounds like 1-800 number going to one spot, but it can route if you have employees who work at home, that kind of thing. We use this all the time. It's very, very flexible. RingCentral.com, promo code TwitterCall, a special number just for TWiT listeners, Tech Guy listeners, 800-543-9980, RingCentral.com. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy, Hour 3 of the Tech Guy Extravaganza. Phone number 8888. Ask Leo if you've got a question, a comment, a suggestion, you want to talk high-tech. Heather and I are here to serve. To serve and protect, as they say. 888-827-5536. I didn't know this, but Dr. Dean used to do some endorsements of the Toto products, apparently.
I think they were in discussion to do so, and it didn't pan out.
Ah, okay.
Flush out, whatever.
We were talking about the... never mind. 8888, ask Leo. So some additional thoughts for Alex, our 15-year-old, who says, I have a budget of $800. I need to replace my Acer Windows machine. What I didn't mention, and the chat room was quick to point out, and you're absolutely right, is Microsoft's newest tablets, the Surface and the Surface 2 and the Surface 2 Pro. These are updated. They came out a week ago, and from all accounts are great. Probably, given your price point, Alex, you're looking at the Surface 2, which is not really Windows. It's Windows RT, the ARM-based version of Windows. It's designed for the tablet, but it has some nice, from your point of view, some nice features given your limited budget. It comes with Microsoft Office free, part of the deal, which I think is great. And it's really both a tablet and a laptop, because if you buy the additional touch cover, it really folds up, and it's just like a laptop. Now, it's a little pricier, so it starts at $449 for 32 gigs. You're probably going to want $549, the 64 gig version. And then you're going to need a keyboard, which is going to be another $100-some bucks. So, but you're still under your budget. And this is now Windows. I mean, you get 200 gigabytes of SkyDrive storage, which is very nice. That means you can work in the cloud. You could even use your existing Acer with SkyDrive, and so your stuff would be at home on the desktop as well as on the Surface. I think this might be a good choice. I apologize for not including this in my lineup. Surface Pro is probably a little more than your budget, and probably not necessary. $899 is what it starts at. And that's a full version of Windows 8.1. I think you're fine with the Surface 2. And now I was thinking of getting one. I have the old Surface, but I think I want to wait and hold out, because later this month, Nokia is going to do its version. Only Nokia and Microsoft still make these Windows RT tablets, unfortunately. But Nokia is going to release its 2520. Is that the number? The Lumia 2520. And this is going to be very similar to Microsoft's Surface 2, but a little smaller, a little more compact. Now, I don't know if you're traveling around with it or not, so I don't know how important that is. We don't know what the prices yet will be on this, but sometime later this month. I think you're right. Chat room, I apologize, because I think these are actually probably very good choices. Just as long as you understand that Windows RT is not really Windows 8.1. You can't run any Windows apps on it. You have to use all of the modern UI, the Metro apps from the App Store. But given that it comes with Microsoft Office built in, and by the way, the Nokia will as well, that makes it a pretty good deal. I think the Nokia is cuter. That's the one I'm going to get. Thanks for the call, Alex. 8888 Ask Leo. Ellen, you're coming up. Paul is next in Columbus, Ohio, home of Jenny's Fabulous Ice Cream. Hi, Paul.
We're a mile away.
Oh, man, I'm glad I don't live in Columbus. I would be so fat. Well, I already am, but I mean, I would be even fatter.
Pretty good
because
stuff.
Jenny's ice cream is so good. Dr. Mom sent us a case for Halloween, and man, is that good. You got to try. Go down the road a piece. I know it doesn't sound appealing, but it was so good for Halloween. The sweet potato with toasted marshmallow.
Yep, good one.
Oh.
Sometimes they have a Thai chili peanut, which is really great too.
Really innovative flavors, actually. I'm pretty impressed.
Very, very creative flavors. Not the usual thing.
I don't know how Dr. Mom knew about it. She lives in Long Island, but apparently she has excellent taste. Jenny's Splendid Ice Cream, JENIS.com. And they have holiday flavors, which I like. Yeah. But that's not, you didn't call to talk ice cream, I'm guessing.
No, unfortunately. Got a carbonite situation, and first of all, I love carbonite, used it for years. My daughter and part of the family uses it, and good. But we did run into an issue, and try to make it brief, but that's my daughter's computer in Denver, and she had a power flip. After the power flip, her second hard drive, she has a C and a D, totally separate physical drives, and her data is on D, per somebody's suggestion that I am talking to.
Yes.
And so when she got the power back up, the D drive wasn't recognized. And also, it wasn't showing up on Carbonite.
Ooh.
Yeah, which is kind of weird. So, long story short, she talked to a second-level person at Carbonite, and they said, well, the D drive isn't here. We don't see it. It showed up for a brief time, like a week before, or a couple weeks before, just before the drive died. But it wasn't on before, and it hadn't been on after that time.
What? That's strange.
Yeah, which is totally weird because she wouldn't have made any, she wouldn't gone in and made any change.
Well, it may be that by default, it doesn't back, as configured, Carbonite doesn't necessarily back up everything you want. You may need to get in there and say, right. Oh, I want to back up a D drive. It may not know about it, for instance.
Well, the only reason I think it was at some point was because she remembered that she saw the little, green dots on the folders.
Yeah, that's the signal that it's been backed up.
That it was there.
Yeah.
So can't say 100% that was the folders that she was looking at, but, done this for a long time. So she's got all her music and pictures on the drive.
Well, one thing, as much as I love Carbonite, and by the way, disclaimer, they are a sponsor of the show, etc. Yeah. And I will help you. By the way, we'll get you to I'm going to put you back on hold after we're done, and Heather, if you'd get his email address, we'll make sure it goes up to the highest levels of Carbonite so they can do what they can. Sounds like it wasn't backed up, but maybe there's something they can do in history or whatever.
Right. Well, we do have a little bit of salvation. We were able to the drive spins up when you put it on another computer or external connection, and but it isn't recognized.
Oh, it may be just fine. It may be the data's there now.
Right. Well, that's what we're checking now. My wife's IT guy at her work has had experience in exchanging the circuit board for the drive, and luckily we found on Amazon the identical drive. Good. It just came this morning.
Good.
So hopefully Monday we'll find out if I exchange the board.
So there's different things that can fail on a drive. There's software failures, which just the formatting somehow gets whacked out, and the drive starts up and everything, but there's just I don't see anything there, or I can't read the drive, and that could be what's wrong, and that's easily solved with software because there's no physical defect. There are then physical defects which can range from something very simple like this circuit board. That's the board that's on top of the drive. Fairly easy to replace if you have exactly the same one.
Right.
And if it sounds like this guy knows what he's doing, so he'll know that. But it's got to be exactly the same circuit board. But if it's something internal, the disk read arm got bent, or bearings went out. That's more common. Then getting it back will be very expensive. If it's vital, you can often get it back by sending it to a company like Drive Savers. The reason they can do it and the reason it's so expensive is they literally have every drive, every part. They have a clean room, and this is what you need to do this, where they can open the drive. You cannot open the drive in a normal environment. One speck of dust is terrible. So they can open the drive, replace the arm or the bearings, put it back together, and recover the data. But that's awfully expensive. Hang on. When we come back, I'm going to tell you some of the options. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Backup is a challenge, isn't it? So I'm going to have to assume we don't know that your daughter was backing up using Carbonite properly. By default, Carbonite will not back up a D drive. You have to select it, but she says she saw the 3 dots, the green dots. But the problem is, people's memories can deceive them. We're going to get them in touch with Carbonite and see what they can do at the higher levels. But here's the thing I would say. A couple of things. First of all, never trust any one backup strategy. That's why we always talk about this 3-2-1. As great as Carbonite is, it's still a good idea to have a local backup. You want 3 copies of everything. Because when the original fails, you want 2 different places you could go to get your restore. So I do recommend whenever people are backing up, they back up locally as well as offsite. Having said that, when a hard drive dies, it can die, as I mentioned, in both hardware and software varieties. Hardware is more expensive. Software can often be recovered, but it does need an expert. Somebody who really knows what they're doing to recover it. What I would do is I would run, a lot of times people want to image it first, so you have a copy of it. Work on the image if you can. Run SpinRite on it to see if all the sectors are working properly. SpinRite, what SpinRite does, it works at a very low level. It checks each sector. If a sector is hard to read, and that can be a problem if that sector is in an important spot on the hard drive, it will read and read and read until it gets the sector, move the data off, mark it as bad. Often that can restore a damaged hard drive. More often than not, in fact, this is a very common issue, is sectors becoming hard to read. All hard drives have bad areas. The areas are called sectors, bad areas that are marked unusable. They come that way from the factory. If you think about it, we're storing so much data on this very small space. It's not at all unusual. The small defects in the media can make that space unusable. So they test it at the factory. They have what's called a bad sector table, and they say, don't use that, and that. And sectors get added to that table all over time, all the time. So that's normal. These things just start, that's how hard drives wear. Now, there are other problems that can happen, and so SpinRite can't fix everything, but that's certainly a good way to start. Sometimes repairing the partition table is sufficient. But really the best choice, the best solution is to have a good backup, and 2 if possible. That's always the best. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number, and I hope we get some solution for you, but we are going to definitely connect you with the top guys at Carbonite and see if we can say it helps to have a friend on the inside here. Ellen in La Crescenta, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Ellen.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
My son has an Alienware X51 desktop.
He's a gamer.
He's a gamer, and something hijacked his Internet Explorer page.
Uh-oh. What does he see on Internet Explorer?
Well, we haven't quite gotten that out of him yet. But
How old is your son?
He's 14.
Yeah, he's probably something a little mature.
Probably. So this actually has happened before, and it's the easiest way for me to fix it is to restore to a different point,
right.
prior to whatever he did.
Right.
And I've done it several times. The last time I did it was in July, and at the same time I did a system backup on a portable hard drive.
Rock on, Ellen. That's great. You're the IT professional. That's awesome.
So yesterday, when I went to go do the restore, there were no restore points. And I know sometimes the viruses maybe take those out.
That's right, yeah. Because a virus author's goal is to get on your system and then make it impossible for you to remove it.
Right.
So the first thing they do often is either infect system restore points or delete them.
Correct. But it did ask for the backup. It says, hey, you made a backup in July. Why don't you get that? And I'm like, okay. So I plugged that in, started the restore, came back about 10 minutes later, and I had a black screen, which we'll call the black screen of death.
Uh-oh.
And it's just, the cursor was stuck in the middle. Nothing was responding.
The restore failed. Again, this could be from the malware on here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can start the system restores on a separate disk?
No, it was on, I just used it from the computer.
Ah. Well, that means that partition is also accessible to the bad guy. So the bad guy could perhaps have nuked that. I would try again. Can you reboot and get Windows started at all?
I know. I get the Alienware splash screen, and I get the Windows 7 splash screen, and then it just goes black. I can't even do Control-Alt-Delete. I can't get out of it at all.
Yeah, could be a variety of things. I won't assume it's malware, but it's this is one where you really want to start over. I think Alienware sends you recovery disks, right? Some CD.
Yeah, I talked to Dell, and they're shipping everything to me.
Yeah. Okay.
We just have to start from scratch.
Yeah, but that's not a bad way to go anyway, because once you get your system compromised, it's awfully hard to be sure you've cleaned it up.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. And teenagers is notorious for doing this because they're not paying attention. They walk into the middle of the street without looking, So start over. I think that's the best thing. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're going to rest. Would you like to buy a new iPad? Perhaps you would. May I make a suggestion? Before you buy a new gadget, sell the old gadget at Gazelle, gazelle.com. Yes, it's the leaping animal that runs across the African veldt, but also a great place to get cash for your old gadgets. iPhone, Samsung phones, Blackberries, HTCs, LGs, Motorola's, Nokia's. Yes, they buy old Nokias. Of course, they buy old iPads, tablets of all kinds. You can even sell your old Surface and get the new Surface. Wouldn't that be nice? iPods clogging your desk drawer, just lying around, old MacBooks, Macintosh computers too. Get cash. The way it works here, let's just say I want to get the new iPhone 5S. I really feel guilty buying it because I still have an iPhone 5. It's on AT&T. And, No, not the 5C. I'm not... Wow, $310 for a 5C. That's a good deal. But no, I wanted to sell the 5. I clicked the wrong one. There we go. AT&T 5, 32 gigs, $235. That pays for the new iPhone 5S. Isn't that a good deal? Now, here's what happens. They will pay postage. So, you know what? Just get everything in a box. Normally, they give you 30 days grace period. They're giving you till December. Oh, that's 30 days, right? Till December 2nd. So what you do is get the price quote now. That gives you time to get the new phone, move your stuff off of it onto the new phone, wipe your data, and then send it. Now, if you forget, don't worry. They will clean up your data for you. Then they send you, and you get a choice. You can get a check. You can get PayPal if you run it right away, or Amazon gift card, and they add 5% to that. So that's a nice thing if you buy a lot of stuff on Amazon. Gazelle clientele, there are over 700,000 customers now. Gazelle's paid over, $100 million. $100 million to over 700,000 customers. Offers are good for 30 days. You get free shipping, fast processing, and no hassles. Gazelle.com. They'll even buy broken iPhones and iPads. Get a risk-free quote right now. Gazelle.com. All right, let me guess. Ballston Spa, New York? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Ballston Spa. Where is Ballston Spa? I never even heard of that, and I spent some time in New York.
I would think you would. It's in upstate New York.
Well, I figured that. Way upstate, huh?
Yeah.
All right. What can I do for? Is it snowing yet?
No, not yet. It's actually pretty cold out now, but
I bet.
I actually have a couple tips about Mavericks.
Ah, yes, the new OS 10, the free operating system upgrade. So you've upgraded, huh, Chris? I mean, Riley?
Yeah, I love the new Mavericks. It's awesome. But just one thing, I used to iMovie 2011, and when I opened up the new iMovie, it looked cool, but it was sort of overwhelming.
It's very different. Yeah, they've changed all of their apps.
Yeah, so I was looking up, and I actually have some work I was doing on there, and I was like, I don't want to learn all the new stuff because I wanted to get it done. So actually, I found out that you can still access the old iMovie 2011 on Mavericks if you just go into Finder, then Applications, and then there should be an iMovie folder, and then in that should be the iMovie 2009. So that's
if you had the old one installed, of course.
Yeah.
That's really good news. So they don't. That's good. I think that's a good way to handle it. They don't delete it. They just put it in a hidden folder. But there's another reason why you want to be aware. Once you've moved to iMovie and are comfortable with it, you might want to save space on your hard drive. and delete that iMovie applications folder. Let me just see. Oh, yeah, they did the same thing for me. I've got the new iMovie app, and then I've got a folder, iMovie 909. That's the previous version. So I can, it's not that big, but it's, might be you want to save a little space and delete that.
And then there's also, I just thought I might add this in Photo Booth. They actually have two new effects. There's a cloaking device and a hologram, I think.
Is this an iPhoto or an iMovie?
And Photo Booth. Actually.
Photo Booth. Oh, I love Photo Booth. Photo Booth's the application you always launch if you want to show people a Macintosh or even an iPad, because it comes on the iPad too, and you want to get them all excited. So, all right. So what it does is it's for selfies. It's for taking selfies. So I've got a picture of me. Now let me look at the effects. You said there's cloaking and what else?
Hologram, I think.
And are these at the very end of the list?
I believe so.
Because there's sure a lot of effects.
Yeah.
So these, by the way, are a demonstration really of the capabilities of the OS in terms of, these are all things that the Quartz layer can do. So Apple knew it would be an easy thing to do because the operating system actually can do all this built in. I'm looking for, cloaking device. Oh, that's neat. So you look like you're kind of invisible.
Mm-hmm.
And then the hologram makes you look like a hologram. So what you do with these, all of these, you step out of the frame for a second. I'm too big to get out of the frame, but you step out of the frame for a second and it gets your background. And then then you get back in the frame and now you look like a hologram.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you use this a lot with your buddies?
Yeah.
That's cool. I like it. Hey, great to talk to you. You're obviously a Mac wizard, Riley.
Yeah, I'm actually 11 years old, and I love to.
That's neat. Do your friends and teachers call on you for help?
Yeah, most of the time.
Most of the time, they say, "Help me, Riley. Help me. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi." Hey, it's nice to talk to you, Riley. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, you too.
Call anytime with tips. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I'm just playing with the cloaking device. Wow, that's an interesting effect. 8888 Ask Leo. Riley, I think, is also in the chat room. You want to join us in the chat room, and Riley and the gang? TechGuyLabs.com. That's the website. All our links are there, and links to the chat room, too. Now we say hi to Chris. I keep saying Chris. Chris in Riverside. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great. How you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Not bad at all. Great show today. I have a question and a dilemma, I guess.
All right.
I'm an Apple user. I've got the iPhone 4, and I'm waiting for my contract to expire. I don't know if I want to stay with Apple or try out the Android. Maybe the Nexus.
What makes you think you might want to do this? Because I gotta test you.
Okay.
To see if you're worthy.
Currently, I'm with Sprint, and they do not offer 4G. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting.
They do, but not in your area.
Right. It's very limited.
Yeah.
Very limited.
They offer it in my area, but it never works. So even if they had it, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can buy the Nexus, the new one, for $400.
Nexus, yeah, the Nexus 5, the 32 gig is $400, very affordable.
Right, versus $600 for the new iPhone.
Right.
And I would have to change services.
Well, let me give you the pros and cons. You've already invested some money in the iPhone apps, I presume.
Yes.
So you have to remember that the cost of switching is not only the cost of the phone, but also you may want to buy new apps. The good news is it's probably not a huge amount of money unless you have some very expensive apps. But look, and the other thing to look at is if some of the apps that you have on the iPhone are not even available in Android. That's the case going in both directions. There's Android apps that are not available on iOS. Both app stores are now so hefty. Apple's is now 1 million apps that it's very likely that most of what you'd want would be available on both platforms. Then the second thing to consider is that the Android phone itself is, well, it's just different. I like it better. It's more flexible, But sometimes, iPhone folks prefer the simplicity of the iPhone. I'll tell you where the iPhone loses me and iOS loses me. I can't change the keyboard. And I think Apple's keyboard is actually pretty awful. Android, there's many third-party keyboards. You can pick and choose and find one you really like, and I just think they do a better job. And that's a simple thing, but it's something you use all the time on a smartphone.
Right. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand it. To this day, on iOS 7, Apple had a chance to fix this. People laugh at me when I say it, but I'm not kidding. I think this is a real problem. Apple's keyboard is always, all the keycaps are uppercase, just like a typewriter, right? But so when you go uppercase, there's no change. When you go lowercase, there's no change. It's always a capital D no matter what. On Android devices, when you're in lowercase, it's a lowercase d. When you're in uppercase, it's an uppercase d. Now, I know Apple folks say, well, you just look at the keycaps. There's a little light that comes on when you're in uppercase. It's not enough. Plus, I'm a lefty, so I'm always blocking that light. And it's the kind of thing, it's software. It's not a physical keyboard. It'd be an easy thing to fix. So you can see where my loyalties lie. I'm a little bit more on the Android side these days. But on the other hand, the only phone in the world with a working fingerprint reader is the iPhone 5C, and it works really, 5S. It works really, really well.
Right. See, I've got the 3 or the 4, so I haven't even...
You understand. Yeah, you don't have Siri. You don't have... There's a lot of things that a new iPhone would improve considerably. The other thing, you have more screen real estate choices on Android. On the iPhone, it's, 4 inches and nothing. So I personally like a little more choice. I think there are many good choices. If you want to do an Android phone, a Nexus 5 would be a good choice. I would also look at the Moto X. I think those two are kind of the best example of what an Android phone could be. Choose the carrier that's best. That's where you start. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The fingerprint reader is handy, and I'll tell you why. I don't have to type my password on that crappy keyboard anymore. My password has upper and lowercase letters. And I've been noticing, because I've been using the new iPad and set up the iPhone 5S, and so I was typing my passwords a lot. And I make far more password mistakes on Apple's because of that caps lock thing. It's something that a software should give you that. There's no reason that software shouldn't give you that feedback. There really is no reason. And for them not to is very typical of Apple. Well, we feel that it violates the design precepts or something. The nice thing about the Nexus is the price. So, all right. Now, wait a minute. In order to do this here, I need to effects. Let's go to the last effect. No, second to last effect. All right, cloaking device. So now I have to step out of the frame. Oh, my ball's in the frame. Okay. Now Terminator 2. Wow. That's look at the TriCaster's also cloaked because it was moving. Anything that moved would be cloaked. Hello, how are you, Dick DeBartolo?
It's Windex Man.
That's a good effect.
That is great. I can see right through you.
How useful is this, though, really?
Well, for a minute and a half.
That is freaky.
Okay, you want to try the other one? All right. Hologram Man. Oh, it still knows
like
me.
That.
So I don't have to...
Be Princess Leia.
And how much does CNN spend to get Jessica Yellen in 3D holographic in the election? It was very expensive. All you needed was photo booth.
Ta-da.
Hello, Wolf Blitzer. I am speaking to you from the other side. I would like to tell you how the 2020 elections are going to turn out, but I have no idea.
This is perfect, isn't it? All Souls Day.
All Souls Day. Is today? No, yesterday was.
Yesterday was All
Saints,
Souls Day.
and then today is something else.
Oh, I don't know.
Yet again.
I don't know.
Even though San
You're
Francisco
asking the wrong guy.
party.
No, that's
Dick's a
Padre.
Catholic. He would know.
It's National Kitty Litter Day.
Oh,
I like this effect. I'm going to do the whole show like this. I especially like the curtains on either side.
for real.
And what does this do? Turns it up or down. It's just got a dial that doesn't do anything.
No, I was just going to say, I don't see any change.
There's a dial in the lower left. I can click it, but nothing happens. It must have to do with something else. All right, let's take a picture. Oh! Oh! Okay, now we get it.
Speak to us from the future.
It's cool. I could also be in fish.
Oh.
Thank you.
You need a nice mermaid outfit, merman.
Brave man doing it backwards.
Who is this part of the show brought to you by, Nathan?
Carbonite.
Coney Island Cyclone.
This
No
portion of the
billboard
Tech Guy
live
Show
Carbonite.
brought to you by, we're playing with photo booth. You never should have started me on the photo booth thing. Whoa. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, 8888 Ask Leo. Dick DeBartolo is here. He is the Giz Wiz, Mad Magazine's maddest writer, and joins us each and every week with a lovely gadget or two. Hello, Dickie D.
Leo, how you doing, pal?
Very, very well.
Good.
What's up
Good.
in Disneyland?
Let's see. I went to Big Apple Circus for Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
So that was great fun.
Yeah, how was that?
That was really great. It was super. I normally don't like animal acts, but they had dogs. And after seeing dogs close up in SeaWorld, I realized dogs love performing.
Yes,
You know,
they
that-
do. My dog loves to perform.
Yeah.
He has.
And you can, yes.
I'm sorry. I was going to go to a very dark place, so let's just keep going and pretend I didn't.
No, but what you can do is on stage. They put on like a whole performance, like a little melodrama, and you know what dog is going to be performing next because their tail starts wagging frantically.
They get excited.
Because they know, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's me next. It's me next.
Yeah.
You know, like you when you're outside the studio, you start wagging your tail.
I wag
and-
my tail, yeah. Well,
Yep,
that just
run
shows
in.
I can't hide my emotions. It comes right through in my butt. I like a dog.
Perfect introduction to my spot.
And what is your gadget?
Okay, so a couple weeks ago, I had to go to Boston. Wanted to go really light. Was going to be there overnight. I just wanted a little shoulder bag. So I decided, what a great time to try out my Bose QC20. It's Bose first in-ear noise reduction units. So they're really tiny. They come in a little travel pouch. You can actually carry them in your pocket. So they don't actually go deep in the ear. They go in the ear canal. And then they have these little ear catch devices that will hold them in the ear. They're called Stay Here Plus.
Over the ear hooks.
No, not over the ear. It goes in what they call the ear bowl. Somehow you put it in, and suddenly they're in there, and you can shake your head, and they stay there.
Oh,
it's very clever.
Ear bowl suction cups.
No,
No?
I don't know exactly what the technology is. But
these are in-ear headphones, in-ear monitors, and they don't have a hook over your ear.
Not at all.
They have a thing that goes in your ear bowl.
It's a
How well
little
does that
thing-
fit, though? Doesn't everybody have a different ear bowl?
No, well, you get 3 in the package.
Okay.
Okay.
Apparently, there are only
it's-
3 different ear bowls in the whole world.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. They did research and they figured 3's plenty.
But they do stay in.
They do stay in. And a couple of different features. One is there's a mode called Aware where you can knock down the noise reduction. Say you're on the airplane and the stewardess is making an announcement, or you're sitting reading at the airport and you want to hear when they announce your gate. So you push a little button and the aware mode comes on. A little LED light comes on to tell you you're in the aware mode.
Do they have an unaware mode? Because that's what I want.
Yeah, it's called the GizWiz. It's called the TWiT
seriously.
Network.
The reason I wear in-ear headphones or quiet comfort headphones or whatever on the airplane, I don't want to hear anything else.
Yeah, I know. But if there's, the seatbelt light comes on and there's turbulence, you want to know, is the pilot saying anything?
That's true.
You don't have to take the headphones out.
Good. You push the button and now you can hear.
Your music doesn't stop. It'll let the voice in over your music. You do have a little separate control module, which you wouldn't have with the over-ear headphones, that I carry in my pocket. 2 different versions because you take phone calls over your music. So you either buy the QC20 is for Android, and the QC20i is for the iOS systems.
Oh, so this has a microphone. You can actually use it as your earbuds for your phone, too.
Earbuds for your phone, exactly. Nice. Price is the same as the overhead stuff, $299.95. Yeah, I know. And like Apple, discounts are not available, although Amazon is offering it for 95 cents less. With free shipping if you're Prime.
$300 for these over
exactly.
Hey,
right.
I have a friend who, really Jason Howell in our office, our producer for the GizWiz podcast.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Has
Jason.
a pair. His wife gave him for his birthday. He loves them.
Great, yeah.
And he's a musician, so he has some. Unlike you and me, he can hear.
Yeah, and a 2-hour charge runs for 18 hours. Oh, and the other thing is, if the battery's dead, you can still use them, which was
that's
not
important.
The case. Yes, with
yeah.
other Bose.
Well, Bose is known for its quiet comfort noise reducing headphones that are over the ear. So this is, and now they have on ear and now in ear. So
in ear,
basically anywhere you want to put them on your ear, they've got a headphone for you.
That's right, you got it.
Dick is at gizwiz.biz. That's his website. Really, there's an actual GizWiz, GIZWIZ.biz.
And a new game starts this week.
Oh. What the heck is it's done?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was September, October.
I got to go because I was really dying to know what that.
Oh, yeah. You know what? What was your guess?
I thought it was like tail fins for it looked like a duck bill prosthesis. I couldn't figure it out.
First of all, about 10 duckbill answers. About almost 80 people got it right.
What was it?
It is because our audience likes junk food. It's a Pringles carrier.
Oh.
It's a way to throw a stack of Pringles into your lunchbox without them breaking. But we got
That's ridiculous. There's a product
all over the place, and on eBay, I think they wanted $10 for one of them.
What?
Yeah, I know.
A Pringles carrier. What's wrong with a plastic bag?
Well, they'll break. So, if you really want your Pringles whole when you get to the office, a Pringles carrier is the way to go.
Or you could keep them in the can.
Well, that's true.
All right,
that's
so
true.
Now we have another What the Heck Is It contest. It's a chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine, a close-up of a gadget. You've got 12 autographed Mad Magazines for the right answer, but 24 for the clever wrong answer. Details at gizwiz.biz. You're playing for the February 2014 issue of Mad. These typically go 2 months, so you'll be doing this for November and December.
Very good. Yes.
Through the end of the
I
year.
applaud your arithmetic.
and I applaud you.
Of the calendar.
The GizWiz. Stick around the GizFizz right after the radio show on TWiT.tv, and of course every Tuesday on TWiT.tv for the GizWiz program. Thank you, Dickie D. I don't think I have enough time to take another call. I don't want to give anybody short shrift. Would this be should I take is there a quick one, Heather? I could probably not. I should just
I think Gail would be quick.
Really? All right, real quickly.
You can do this.
Hi, Gail. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I understand I only have about a minute left.
Okay. I have an iPad 4, and I did the upgrade to iOS 7. And I don't like it. A lot of features.
I don't either.
Yeah. The main thing is the calendar, and
it's flat and it's ugly.
Well, and it doesn't. You're almost a day ahead is what.
Here's what I would do. Get a better calendar app. You don't have to use the built-in one.
Yes. What apps would you suggest?
I love Fantastical, and it's now for iOS 7. It's gorgeous.
Fantastic.
It's like Fantastic with Cal, one C though.
Oh, CAL.
Yeah,
Okay.
Fantastical. Agenda is a very clean and simple one. I like that a lot as well.
Okay.
And AnyDo has a new calendar that I think is quite good. Any.do Cal. Those three are all excellent. My favorite's Fantastic Cal.
Okay.
Hey, Gail, thank you.
And also, there's a new iOS 7.0.3.
Yes, get it. The upgrade's important. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. They always get me with a second question. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the TWiT Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.